because it's proven. It's just yeah. Okay.
I'll take it all off then.
I'm trying to address this.
Okay, okay, thank you very much. So just a reminder, obviously this is recorded, so first of all, health and safety, as Derek and myself do and others do the health and safety, the back and to the sides, illuminated, and obviously to go as far away from the building as possible. As it says on the agenda, recording, filming of the meeting, the council permits the recording and filming of a topic of the public meeting. By attending the meeting, you're consenting to being filmed and recorded unless you notify the clerk in advance you do this today. All presence to be asked of them any intention to record and film all or part of the meeting. So apologies for absence. So John, are you?
Just asking. Thank you.
So apologies for absence. So we can do that. We can do the best. Apologies for absence.
Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Taberner, Councillor Phillips, and Councillor Pulu.
Any declarations of interest and dispensations?
I have two. There is one in Paris, Avenue Road, I'll have to abstain on because I am chairman of the Shippers Association and Paris is within that area. And also the application for the artificial pitch of Jubilee Field, I have to abstain from that because I am chairman of London Bray Sports Club.
Thank you. I think we should abstain from any discussion as well.
Totally happy, but I was, I think, chairman, I did let you know I didn't have to be the
That's good. That's fine, because I get it. Okay, so the next item is approving the minutes. Has everyone read them and happy with them? Yes? So you've got the minutes for yourself, lovely, thank you very much. Brilliant, thank you very much. Right. Updating actions for the meeting on the 7th of July. Going forward, I've asked if the deputy clerk could actually list those so that we have it on record in the minutes what they are. So I think the two things I know for myself was one was regarding meeting with enforcement. I did get in contact with them, but a lot of people are on holiday at the moment. It's that time of the year. So I agree that we'll come back in September. Also, I would like to understand as well any issues with enforcement, because one of the items I took away to provide an update on was regarding Blackbird Lane with the residents that came in. I got response within 24 hours from enforcement regarding it. So I mean, I don't know if they were just lucky or, but I was quite impressed with that response. And that's been fed back to the residents. So I think it would be good to understand what the actual issues are as well before we actually head to the meeting. So perhaps if Joanna, yourself and I sit down with the deputy clerk and actually understand where we're having issues with enforcement.
Yes.
Do you think that would be a good idea? So we actually know where we can. And we'll do that before we leave. Okay, so those are the two actions I've had. I think there was one to be yourself.
Greenacre Farm, which is opposite, which was obviously for the cars. We seem to have hundreds of cars in there now, and the burning, but there's nothing been smelt recently. So we can't really put it for enforcement if they're not doing it.
So that wouldn't necessarily be environmental.
Yeah, they've been out before, and then they keep saying it's because obviously of the farm, but
Yeah,
They haven't got anything there now.
we just need to tie that up. Actually, because what I've noticed driving past it here several times a day, there's actually somebody living on site. In the
I think it's the cars. I think they've got the car lot going in there.
I'm not quite sure but there is, but from what we got back from Blackbird Lane, you can have some activity on the suburbs, whether or not it actually hits the activity that's unacceptable. So I think we just need to clarify what that is. Perhaps get some photographs, Julie, is that right?
Yeah.
So we can actually properly do a proper pass through to enforcement. So you okay to take an action to provide some photographs of that stuff?
With Ren or Sammy.
Yes. And then we can raise that with enforcement and give it to the deputy clerk. Yes.
Yeah, can we get clarity on that process? Is that something that you take photographs, write a report, send it to enforcement, or do you send it to the office and we then pass it on?
The office always does it.
It's totally up to you. Like I said, I go to enforcement and I got a response very quickly. So it's up to you, as a councillor. Sorry, so, yes,
But if you're looking to the office to manage the process, we need information on a system. So we need to have a copy of that information.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. Yes,
If I'm not mistaken, there was some change in policy within the Royal Borough where it doesn't make actual any difference if that's an individual councillor or the office. So the other thing is obviously them feeding back and explaining what happened, but it does not carry any more weight if that email comes from the clerk or individual councillor.
yes, well, perhaps explain some.
Yes.
I'm really sure I got responsible for 20 grand, so I really couldn't complain. That's Julie, as something I've read off and perhaps copy the clerk, if you want me to help you with wording of it, I'm happy to. And then that can be put on our spreadsheet and just tracked, can't it?
Yeah, I can only put information on the spreadsheet that is sent to me. I can't put information I don't know about.
That's why I said,
Yeah, I know.
Copy you on it.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that's the cause that implied to be, anybody can communicate with the borough. But if you want me to have it on the spreadsheet to be able to explain it, I need a copy,
yes,
which is for clarity.
That's what I said.
yes, I think we understood that, thank you. Okay, so I think are those for the actions? Yes? Okay, lovely. Okay, clerk's reports?
Yeah, just a couple of things. So, firstly, obviously the lamp post.
Sorry, can I just say, this is planning? That
I know
doesn't-
the clerk's report is an update on everything that's been going on in the office.
No, it isn't. This is planning only.
So you just want kind of
Just
updates
planning.
there.
This is a planning meeting.
Okay, planning.
Please. Have you got any updates on planning? No?
Not on this sheet, no, I've got about George and I've got about Children's Day of the Weekend.
No, so that's not planning. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much. So next part, we have public forum, and I think the deputy clerk spoke to the residents at the back there. Are you wanting to speak at an application or generally on the public forum? Are you interested in an application?
No, the actual enforcement for Blackbird Lane would be excellent.
Right, so,
I'd like to give you some updates on it.
okay, yeah.
We have, I don't think I've spoken to a particular.
Yeah.
Well, no, I raised it with enforcement. So I recognise you now. Apologies. The last meeting, I took an action to contact enforcement to ask them what was going on. And I think that was fed back to what I got by Joanna. So do you want
What feedback do you get? Because so far, what we've heard, we had someone come and visit, and then we were issued by with a letter from OWM suggesting that it's a medium risk in terms of enforcement.
Yeah.
And then that's it. So this is a month later.
Yeah.
Since then, the works have actually got quite little things to show you. It's if you don't mind, it was just so you can have a look at So we'd like to do the registration in that way, some images on the 3 pages.
So I just pop on and pass it around.
Do you want to just send those down, some images of what's going on? So, with regards to Blackbird Lane, what is currently going on is they are continuing as if no enforcement has been issued. They are continuing to build this car park. They are continuing to disturb some badger sets that are on the site that are documented, which is actually equivalent against normal planning offence.
Yes.
They are putting up these huge screens. They are putting moving animals in. They put portaloos on site. They have been advertising for other local CIC companies to come and host events at their venue.
Saying that we have 70 visitors a week that will be coming up and down in the lane.
Which, as you know, is a single track.
Yes.
There's been no planning application lodged by them. They are not, they're actually saying they're not going to, because then that allows them just to get under the radar.
They're not trading as a charity, they're not registered as a company, they haven't been even on Barclays Lane. And they're continuing to do that, and that's why the Charity Commission won't get involved. They've got a GoFundMe page where they're collecting money from the community, saying that they're really helping the community out, but they're not registered, they're charging more than London Zoo. No one seems to want to do anything about it.
So from the planning perspective, for us, is that there's a massive highways issue and a safety issue. And we all know how planning works and how enforcement works. And unfortunately, once they're there, the process to take them off the site is a considerably expensive one for the council, as well as a lengthy process. In that meantime, the real people who are going to suffer are the residents, the riders, the cyclists, the pedestrians who are actually meant to be using that highway. Instead, you'll have dual traffic down a single track road with ditches on the side. And if they're advertising the fact that they've got children with special needs coming down, it's one vehicle to drop into a ditch who doesn't know the area. It has some serious repercussions.
So apologies, can I say this? I think there are 3 things there. So what I was told, because there weren't any buildings or any
So
structures.
you can see in the first
So
image.
have you provided those? So I was told that you needed to provide evidence of building, etc., etc.
You can see on the second
So
page.
have you passed those to?
Yes.
Yes.
So can you send me this as a soft copy that I will flag up, because I've been working with them and they said, so if I do as well.
But it's also changing use here. It's not just about buildings. If this is green belt land that has a settled use, I can't just buy that field across the road and whatever I want there. They're not even applying for a change of use application to actually classify that land as actual commercial. It's a commercial entity that's going to be operating on that green belt site. So there's various elements here.
So I totally get what you're saying, and I totally understand your frustration. As somebody who's worked in the public sector, and I apologies to anyone, it is a very rigid way of doing it, and you have to provide information. One thing I did pick up on is the public rights of way. If you think there's a public rights, a public path that's being impacted by it, you should raise that with them, because you have already.
And Sharon Newton, who's local bridle path and highways person, has actually been out. Unfortunately, until they are consulted, highways are consulted through a planning application process or a change of use application.
And this is not.
They can't enforce.
But there's a public footpath, that there's a team that protects.
Yeah, but she's been out to site. She was out there last week.
So who did you speak to?
They're called Sharon Newton. I'll show you her.
Would you, to help me, would you mind sending me all the information you have?
If you could show your email address.
Yeah, of course.
Sharon Newton, I'll be down the highways. She's been down there because she had a good.
So this is a different department to public footpaths, the highways.
They look after, as far as I know, I'm not going to quote her title, but she looks after all the driveways in the surrounding area
Right,
and is in charge of all of that. So I don't know whether she's, you know, well, I think it's public highways, I think, I'm not,
Okay.
you know, it's a public private park.
okay, yes, I'm authorised, so.
Exactly.
But I take it, so if you can send me all your information to me, so it's Lorraine.me@Bray Parish Council.
I just share the pictures of council meeting.
Oh, perfect. Actually, but you see, the issue here is, and I do understand planning quite well, a little bit of experience. These people are not making any applications because they know that the second they do, then highways will get involved. The concept of what they're running there will come under scrutiny. So what they're trying to do, instead of renting that, get all those animals on site, get all of that going, start off their operation, and then and everyone knows the councils are cash starved and don't have the resources to go in action, you know, enforcement action as easily as we would like. So that's the part they're taking. Now, it's a very simple process for a better process of enforcement. And stop notice needs to be served and say, well, guys, make an application and then carry out any further works to turn this place into a car park, you know.
Because there is a background to this, because they're trying to move from Bartlett's Lane.
Yes,
To Blackbird Lane.
so no, I live in this area,
Right.
so I'm very aware, and I think all the councillors do. And those of us who are honourable councillors very well know Bartlett's Lane and where it is now. So to help you, we, you know, that's another reason why we're parish councillors is,
Because they have sold that plot of land now,
Yeah.
the neighbour who lives next door. They are now moving them as
It's the
quickly
same
as
one.
the same owners, they've got a GoFundMe page saying that, you know, our landlords have chucked us out, but it's actually the same landlords that are accommodating them on another side.
And it just seems to be a blatant disregard of the law. And the fact that they're not being forced to put an application, because at the end of the day, look, if they make a justified application to the council and get approved, then there's nothing anybody can say against them.
no,
But what they did on Bartlett's Lane was exactly the same, where they just went, bumped themselves there, irritated all the neighbours, where to the point where the neighbours actually had to pay them extortionate amounts of money to get rid of them. And now they just picked them up and try and put them next to us.
can I just remind you, we're recording here.
That's honestly, I have nothing by. I'm just saying.
I mean, I'm trying to be fair here,
Yeah.
just because obviously,
And I provided an 18-page detailed complaint to the London Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead, along with all the planning classifications as checked by my own planning consultants that confirms that this is not a lawful use. They require planning consent for a change of use on that site. And they just ignored it.
so my name's Lorraine, councillor Lee.
I think I actually forwarded it to Joanne.
Yeah.
I did the detail, and I've gone through it. I've actually given an example of another site in Cookham, same situation, where they were setting up a petting zoo.
Yeah.
And they were refused planning permission by RBWM because it wasn't suitable, and that was on a commercial farm.
Yeah.
With good access from the highways. This is not. Trying to reverse back out onto the drift road is, you know, is.
I don't want to be rude here. I totally understand your passion and I totally understand your frustration. And like I said, this is one of the reasons why I became parish council, to understand how it works. But to try and send that information to me, I will flag it up internally and RBWM. I'll also, to the Public Rights and Way, I also raise it by that, the concerns regarding the rider park. And Joanna, you and I work together because I think the residents have contacted you.
Sorry, I'm very busy this evening, but maybe we could just, two of us.
Absolutely.
Take some right now.
And by all means, come to the stop and see what's going on.
Yes,
I think I would really appreciate that, actually. And actually something to get the council to react, because unfortunately, we can't, and this is not just us, but you also met the other neighbours last week, on the last meeting. We can't see what else we could be doing. You know, we're flagging it to the council, we're flagging it to the parish council.
so can I also ask as well, are you happy for us to raise this with our borough councillors, the Bray Ward borough councillors?
Absolutely.
So where what you're happy with us to escalate and pass around whoever you think is.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great.
Absolutely.
That's great. So like Joanna said, Joanna and I, because I know initially, and like I've ridden around this area,
Yes.
horses around this area. I know that where you're talking about. But if you want to go and have a look as well, Joanna, we can perhaps arrange something and go and have a walkabout and go down there. But yeah, apologies, we have got quite a full meeting and I don't want to stop you because I do really appreciate it, but.
My biggest concern is they're openly advertising that they need to move before September.
Yeah.
So by the time we get around to the next set of meetings,
They're probably
out in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't, finance a private investment, to not have these guys next door to us.
But we have to follow a process too, and we can't circumvent that. And we will be told to go back and do it properly. So leave it with us. Both Joanna and I are very good at these type of things. So we will get in contact with you as soon as we get any updates. And if you send that information through to Joanna, I will raise the enforcement again tomorrow and see what they say as well. So the actions are, as myself and Joanna will look at it together anyway. I'll raise it with the information you provided again to enforcement. I'll also raise it with public rights of way, because that is a different team to highways, and I'll double check how that is because obviously things always changing all the time. And that's what we'll take as an action. I appreciate your frustration, but these things take time and
But
You-
these
you
guys will take advantage of that time.
that's my
Which is
thing.
unfortunate.
It will come back and bite them in the end. It will come back and bite them. It will, seriously. So you have to leave it with us. I'm really sorry, but and obviously, raise with enforcement anything in the meanwhile as well. You keep raising things. If you copy myself and Joanna on things and they can see that we're involved, it will obviously help as well. Yeah.
What you want to say?
No,
It's that easy to break the law. It's that easy. I can't really say anything.
it's important. Unfortunately, it's the way enforcement works. I can trust me. We have got some that are far more impacts the environment over the years. It has to follow the legal process, and it doesn't matter how much anybody cases them. It has to follow that way. So I'm really sorry. I do understand the pressure, and I'm just trying to set the expectations. It has to do that. And I don't know what else to say, but I think at the moment, I think we need to just, move on to the rest of the meeting, and we'll take that as actions away and leave it with us.
Thank you.
Sorry?
Usually, I want you to, if they've got evidence that this is on the radio centres, the radios are protected.
So, yeah.
That's an area which you could possibly get faster action.
So I know some Badger charities that I can contact, because I work with them at Harvest Hill. So you never really don't know.
And
So-
the local press line, actually.
Yeah, well, that's who that lady is.
Oh,
So, yeah. So that, yeah, I think, yeah, we'll do, we'll.
With all the proximity, or all close proximity. So, it's actually done, don't you, so.
It's always difficult, it's such an emotive thing.
Almost,
there was on the other side to it, there is a farm view, the people on the.
I don't want to say
Into the balance.
I don't want to say it because I'm aware of a few things on this. So, okay, so that's a public forum. Applications,
yeah.
gonna you be breaking in.
So much.
Set
Could you
expectations.
stop the laugh? London on two, no, I won't be, I'll be in late. That's 10 o'clock, I'll be finished just by then. So I've got two.
It gets the easy one.
I want to, well, you might say that easy, maybe not. I could be controversial. No, these are not really controversial. There are two applications, the same Place, which is around north of Silver Firs Farm, Ascot Road. That's Tuchin End as you head down towards the Mecca of Golf. Hills. So I'll come to that access later. Not that it's an issue, but it's something we need to consider. We're going to do the exercise track. Let's do that. Is it exercise track first, or are we going to do?
Yes.
Okay. So the exercise track. Well, just to make it clear, this property is not in the flood zone. It's not in the conservation area. It is in green belt, but it has the exception because it's the provision of appropriate facilities for outdoor sports, as long as it does not present for nor to preserve the openness of the green belt. And the fact is, this 37,000 square foot place, effectively only 10% of it has any buildings on it. So I don't think we can really argue that it's not fulfilling that. Also, it's got a certificate of lawfulness for equestrian activity, in particular polo, which is becoming the polo capital of the world. And in fact, there's been activity to do with equestrian activity, horses, etc. from 2004. So it's well established. So what they want to do is they've already got a circular all-weather track, and they want to turn it into what obviously is much more like essentially a racetrack, probably just to look at the fitness of the horse. I know nothing about equestrian, so I'm going to stop right there. What is important to know is that they have done what they believe is, and it is a zero impact on the actual environment, because they are going to use, apparently, they're going to use about 500 square metres of the old track in the new track. And they're only going to then the additional, which is probably about 800 square metres, but they're going to regrass all this area that's not being used, and they're going to bring all the area in there and around up to, from what they say is poor quality modified grassland to better quality modified grass. So in terms of the impact, it is kind of net, it's negligible. Now, in terms of the sustainability, I read the sustainability report. They are completely approval with it. The only recommendation they have is a construction strategy that includes how waste hierarchy is being implemented, prioritisation of low carbon and locally sourced materials, recycled content of materials, 25% minimum, 50% target, and consideration of reduction of employee carbon where possible. So they have no other worries about it. So taking all that into consideration, my proposal would be that we approve this application with obviously saying that we should approve it with the construction strategy recommendations as outlined in the sustainability report. Have you any questions?
Any questions, anybody? No?
That is one.
Anyone like to second that? Thank you, Derek. Anyone recommending that for approval?
Okay. Number 2 is in the same. Moving on. Proposed replacement existing equestrian buildings, exactly the same place. Now, so the same things apply. Obviously, it's not in the flood zone, it's not in conservation, it is obviously part of the green belt test as well. And you have to understand this 37,000 square metres, most of it grassland, and what we're talking about is probably about a tenth of that. Now, since 2003 or 4, this is the area which basically got 32 stables, tap rooms, a kitchen and a lawn. And as you look at it, it's obviously been built in a kind of ad hoc manner as the business and as the number of horses and clients have increased. And it looks rather sort of, as I say, ad hoc, rather chaotic. What they're proposing to do is to essentially turn it into something much more rational and much more up to date. And then we'll provide them with 35 stables, tap rooms, a laundry, and a kitchen. Now, they are looking to demolish 556 square metres, which is the old buildings. If you just go back to, sorry, just go back to the original, what they're going to demolish is this bit here. Okay, they're going to keep these, the northern things, apparently just storage units. So they're going to demolish these. Now, the only thing you have to understand is what they're doing. They're going to have to increase it slightly. There's going to be 651 square metres. And what will disappear will be this strip of land here, to which is modified. They describe it as poor, and obviously this little strip here. So there's a bit of increase in and the loss of grass. As I've said, we are talking about something which is only a tenth of a rather huge area. Now, the only other issue to consider will be, of course, that they're going to create 35 stables, animal welfare. It seems to me it's going to be higher level, more modern. So we've considered that as well. The only thing I would make a comment about this, it's not something we can consider, is that when I drove past down to Beckenham, again, it's a bit like what we were discussing earlier. The access to it is, well, as you can well tell, it's not great. And obviously, this is a sign that we are going as a business doing, obviously improving, increasing usage, and probably trying to attract or have indeed attracted higher clientele. It's just something we need to keep an eye on because it could become an issue, I think, in the future in terms of increased traffic. So, but in what's being proposed today, I would like to make a proposal that we approve this with, again, the recommendation of the sustainability report, which again says they're happy to approve it, but they would like to have the following, which is very similar to the track and a couple of things. It's how waste hierarchy is being implemented, an on-site waste management plan, a prioritisation of low carbon and local source materials, recycled content materials, consideration reduction into various. So again, it would like to propose this for approval with the recommendations that are outlined in the sustainability report. Do we have any questions?
Any questions? No? Okay, that's your proposal. Anyone would like to second that? Anyone would recommend that for approval? Well done.
No, I'll stop. I've got. Thank you.
Look, old star, you see, so. Okay, so, yeah, we did get some nice ones, so.
Yeah.
So, on to Bray and Fisheries.
Yeah. If the light for its actual personal.
Oh, have you got a light? Did you bring, is that your, I have the light, yes, is that your,
Yeah.
I think we need to get,
We use that, have that.
it has a smiley face. Need to get one of those, when one's is gone.
Yeah, we used to have one.
Yeah, should have one.
Okay. On to Bray.
That's the Pierce presented.
You said, prize way, yeah, the area for each property, some different. This, as you can see, it's city road. And the proposal is to the existing garage, which I must say happens all the time, to make it habitable, and to have a shed, space is not limited, there's been lots of work over years to these properties which were developed as, and if the garage is incorporated as habitable accommodation, there will be shortage of parking. Okay, so this is the look of it. And nothing too different here. Essentially, the whatever yeah, no, just would here to give just habitable necessities. Yeah. I would have no property with this. I would recommend it for approved.
Anyone got any questions? Joanna? Okay.
I actually like to second that because so many of those houses did the same thing already. That I think we should have that. So I'd like to second if that's.
Okay, thank you. So, Dale, did you have a question?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the approval and seconding of it, but I would like to see it tied to the main property. And the reason being is that it could at some point sold off, and I think it's important that there's some form of control. So if that could actually be put in as one of our planning reasons that we report it on that basis.
I have noted that, which is other.
So the recommendations to approve it, subject to the additional dwelling being tied to the main house. Yeah, so if you still happy to second that, Joanna, okay, recommending for that to approval? Is that anybody? Yeah, okay.
In the fisheries, it's an area of conservation, but candidates, the property in question, they're talking fenestration at the front only, but it is not in conservation area. And it's very, it's the with the very small changes to windows, bigger, yeah, than they used to be. But and bigger up here, etc. But I think no problem there. And as I say, not in conservation area, which I've checked with John.
Thank you. Any questions, anybody? No, anyone like to second that? Any? Anyone recommending that for approval? I think that's everybody. Yeah.
I have to abstain.
Oh, sorry, you're abstaining.
I'm abstaining because I'm officially with the association chair.
Okay. Okay. So just to make sure that's clear, one abstention. Okay.
Coming a bit late because the request that you see is retrospective. But it doesn't let in the unusual developments on the site And as far as I can see, that's not, yeah. Yeah, it's new stairs. It is that area. I don't know why, perhaps they didn't realise that needed one permission when it's just one shed for another. But I can't see that this bigger shed is going to be any important or have any impact. So I would recommend it for approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone got any questions before we go to the vote? Okay, that's fine. Anyone like to second that? Second it. Anyone recommending that for approval? Okay. Thank you, Margaret, speeding them up.
Yes. We come to Hill Way here, which is off the Spirit Page. As you come up, as you make the turn corner, the threshold is and the driveway in this county way. And this application has attracted to objections and these relate, of course, to this plan, which substitutes something already approved with the matter of good news. PVC some approved and the charging point, etc. People have written in with objections, and there are objections height. In one case, some called Halloween in Christmas Lodge neighborhood. The comment or reasons. This lady says, I object to the installation of air conditioning units and a heat pump in close proximity to because of the noise they will generate. The another neighbour who is at, I hope I'm saying it properly, Quicker Mark way, objects to the air conditioning unit, heat pump close proximity to my property because the noise and the same thing. I object to the installation of solar panels, only potential solar glare impacting on our property. Now, they appear to be looking straight up in the air. However, this is what the person says. It would impact on private enjoyment of our outside spaces as there are no specific details on the variation as to the solar product that might mitigate the risk. I object to these additional works attracting poorly managed trade inside to damage already to property trees and fencing. Currently impacting on that privacy. These are not being addressed or rectified. Requires our efforts to have a reasonable consultation. So here are two unhappy people. I'm truly unhappy. And I think these are kinds of comments we must necessarily take into account. We are.
Can I just stress here that there's no heat pump on this application. It's for solar panels an electric vehicle charging unit. There's no mention.
And I've exceeded. No objections have exceeded the request.
Yes, yes, it probably was on the original planning application.
Yeah.
But that's already been approved, so this is just. This is done, as in the solar panels and the electric vehicle chargers. Or am I missing something?
In terms of the, so, frankly, I cannot see any reasonable objection. And consequently, I would suggest approval.
Yes,
Yeah, just a comment on that. Yeah, I don't know if they could see them panels, but you can add a planning condition on there for anti-glare panels. It is like a black public film. Yeah, so you can add that if they can see it, but I don't think, I think the way they're sitting there, it looks like they'll be sitting up sort of at an angle, but to get catch the sun, but we could ask best that condition to be added, if there is a concern about the glare. But on them the heat pump, I've got a feeling that they may be able to put the heat pumps in without planning permission. And what we could do is, part of the proposal, we could insist on, if there are going to be heat pumps added, to have noise reduction, noise cancelling the casing around the units, which is quite a common condition. But that's it, if you want to have a.
pedantic here, it's not included in the
Yeah, so
application.
we can leave it on.
I hear what you're saying, because we have had some, but yeah, I mean, I think it had to be in the main application originally, already approved.
I mean, we've had applications that have come into the borough where, you know, the houses have been built and they're sort of talking about sort of net zero.
Yeah.
And they don't put the full kit and caboodle there, and then when it comes to doing their spec on the build out, they'll add additional things on there. So they'll add the you know, the heat pumps in there, but yeah, I've got no issue with the application. I think it's quite good.
I think if you recommend it for approval, I think what we should do is note in this application, just so it's clear that it's not that we're ignoring it, it's just not included.
And the aircon uses.
And there's no air conditioning either. But what we cannot, there's potential, so it's asked for, you can have, for the solar panels, anti-glare on them. So we could recommend approval of that information that we have asked for anti-glare to ensure they is not impacted.
I think that would be reasonable.
I think that is, that's taking them their concerns. Yes, Mike?
Sorry, just to point out, on the actual proposed route plan, there are actually two aircon units. There. Now, I don't know whether they were part of the original plans of ENG's, it's just the amended plans have just put in the tick that there are actually two aircon units.
But again, with the exchange of, the thing is, it's a variation with the same thing. Saying solar panels and the electric vehicle charging. Otherwise, what we'd actually have to do is get out the actual original plan and go bit by bit through it. But as it says in this variation, it's for solar panels and electric vehicle charging.
Yeah.
So that's the proposal, is to recommend approval, subject to the solar panels having anti-glare being the main unit. And it's noted that, you know, heat exchanger or heat exchangers, that's been, and law air conditioning is actually included in this variation, just as a note, so we haven't ignored the resident, it's not included. Yes, Steve?
Is this middle part, flat roof?
Yes.
Yeah, it's on the middle part, it'll be flat.
Is it lower than the rest? can see where it is on the previous one, it's right in the middle. And it looks like it's a flat roof.
Bit in the middle,
It's a bit in the middle.
yeah.
A long way, it's a long way.
Is it lower than the picture? Is
It's
it?
just a fraction lower according to, if you looked at one of the side elevations in our section.
And we don't think that any.
Okay,
There's also, there's no, doesn't tell us in that.
Yeah,
How high it is, but it looks pretty high building. Seems very high.
something that.
No, but you're talking about glare. Glare.
Yes,
If the building's higher than the buildings around it, it won't get the glare.
well, we're not quite sure of the layout, and we're just trying to address the residents' concern. So the planning officer, she thinks that's not applicable, she won't ask the applicant to do it. But at least we've listened to what the residents' concern is. That makes sense? So that's proposal. Anyone like to second that? Anyone recommending that for approval? Is that everybody? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chairman, ask your permission to leave, please.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Here we go. Good night.
Do you think this might go to Anna? This one? This next one?
Oh, what's the change in warehouse to gym?
France,
This one?
Yeah, this, I think it's been in the press, this one, hasn't it?
Yes.
Has it been called in by a councillor?
I'm surprised it doesn't.
Yeah, let's have a look.
okay, here we are, Trade Park, I'm investigating this in terms of the chain routes. This puts, if it becomes a gym, it would come into a different category. It would move from B to ED. How controversial this would be and how big a step. Right, I'm not sure, but it would of course have a lot of coming and going. Instead of pretty static on the beach, which is this. And when I was doing that 3 years ago, I need to.
Sorry.
Most of the time, whereas Jim is very much, I would think, going to make 4 evenings and weekends. So that it would impact, I think, area. I welcome some comments from other people.
I'd like to start with Ken and then Jill.
I think parking's the biggest issue in this, isn't it?
Yeah. Was that what you were going to?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Parking would be the biggest issue.
Yeah, Joanna?
Okay, so, I see 2 objections on the website, but I was contacted by other residents than those people who submit the objections already. Friars Way has a huge, massive problem with parking already, as it is now.
Yes.
This gym is saying that they have access, they will serve the people across, Thames Valley region. They stress they have access to, easy access to M4, to M30, to M40, to train station. But they suggest those people coming from the train station will walk 35 minutes to the gym. They also say they have 8 parking spaces, but they are preparing to buy 130 pieces of equipment.
Exactly.
And then when you read the document, they start saying they will open at 6 a.m. and finish at 10. But as funnily enough, as you go further into the document, it's not 10, it's 11. So if Councillor Pearce is going to propose recommended refusal, I would very much like to second that, because I think the math is not adding up, and that suggestion that people will walk from the station and or cycle. It's just not,
they all want to get fit, you know.
I know, it's not, yeah. It's just,
Not in the wet.
also the way this application was described, it shows the nearest neighbours as people, it's not mentioning Priceway at all. They will come from Priceway, this is how the road is, it will lead them, they will not jump over the fence from the other side of the edge. There are some lightings plans, obviously they say it's going to be, it's not going to interfere, but the lights are going to be up until 11, it's just not right place. And yes, it's a commercial site, but the type of businesses that were supposed to be there were not gyms. So like I said, if the recommendation will be refusal, I will not send that because it's just not right for residents. It's antisocial, the parking is not sufficient.
Yeah.
Not right.
So somebody who uses the car parks, and I think a lot of people do, it's always rammed with cars around there. And all cars moving up and down Pathway, up the slits. I think other councillors say, the big issue here is parking.
Yeah, I think you do very much, but fine.
Just observation, the only thing is when it's busy, I know there is deficiency parking, when it's gonna be busy, it'll probably be in the evenings. And Priceway in the evenings, it sort of dies down a bit because those sort of businesses close about 6 o'clock or so, don't they? So if they could use the whole spread of all of those in front of them now, you've got more spaces, but I mean, yeah, their daytime is going to be, it's tight, it's a deficiency.
There was another, sorry, Steve, yes.
Presumably, the other spaces for parking are dedicated for the other units. So
Yeah.
the other units might have something to say about.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
But also, if you look at the gym, there's a gym next to Pets at Home on Stapleton Link. Now, probably, almost all times a day, and just looking at people going in and out of that gym, people are parking there, and there's probably a double row of about 8 or 9 spaces are used by that. Now, if people aren't prepared to walk from the station to Stapleton Link, I don't think there's much chance. And in fact, if they are prepared to walk all the way down to the to Bray, then probably they don't need to.
Yes, Joanne.
I'd like to just reiterate, there are other problems. Some of them are not directly related and not direct result of the businesses of Priceway. There is additional problem with parking. And I have to say, yes, some people might walk from the train station, but people coming off M4 and M40 will not walk. They will drive. That's what we do on motorway. So it's a bit, I know they are trying to present it as very a fantastic idea, but it's not really, not for this space, not for this.
Okay, I think parking is the issue. I think we've all got to that conclusion. So would you like to make a recommendation?
Yes, I would make a recommendation for refusal on the grounds of insufficient parking for an activity as proposed.
Okay, but Joanne, you're wanting to say that, yes, okay. Anyone recommending that for refusal? I think that's everybody, yeah. Thank you. Another variation. There's so many plans we get approved, variations.
Yes. As we keep tweaking things, same thought, but I think in some places just hoping to get a bit more. Now, they've got, generalised people. Yes, we've seen this before. First, 22 applications, is, listed building consent. And then there's a variation. Construction, et cetera, et cetera. This one's got, yes, a number of small, but I think quite significant explosions. We mustn't forget that, this lies behind, the price listed properties as group, and consequently, anything which helps to settle it into the area, in a beneficial way. There is to make less dark or new, and we might look at, this kind of that. However, we're talking, as you can see here, bathroom there with such a, yeah, not this really is, going into detail, integral bathroom time, with such a flat roof, the facilities. Different, flat roof windows and introduced light, I think here, in this property, something that's quite close next to one which is slightly lower down, which is separate. It is close to the back of the listed property. Yes, there's a boiler flue. I don't see that any of these changes are dramatic. They're all connected. I'm thoughtful. Let's go. That's looking at somewhere. Where it's coming out this time, it's probably not worse than where it was previously. Whether that's would feel happy about the accommodation potentially. But you can see the listed I was never happy. It's happened, these are the suggestions. Does anyone have strong feelings about any of these suggested alterations?
No. Should I make a recommendation, Margaret?
Recommend.
Thank you. Anyone like to second that? Thank you, Derek. Recommended for approval. That's everybody. Thank you.
I was just going to ask, I don't know the answer, but I'm intrigued by the bat. Do I actually have usually bats in the property at the moment?
I can't say I've seen them. Actually, worse around the church, there was some in River Gardens at one point, but I couldn't point out any specifically at the moment.
I know the deputy speaker, so I can have a meeting to your bats with him. I mean,
Next one is another variation.
Yes, it is, and perhaps this is why Councillor Parkinson has chosen to retire. Yes, cricket.
Okay, it's another variation. Done one variation, there's another variation.
That's like thing once listed building concern.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do we still have votes on it?
Yeah, that's right.
So shall we do this as we did before, as that we delegated the conservation officer? Yes, Mr. Gilman. So that's proposal to delegate it to the conservation owner.
It's not, It's another variation on condition 6. The first one was condition 3. I did email the officer after the last planning meeting where it was creating confusion. And I asked to define the 2 different elements, but I've had nothing back. So I just used the same, because the reports share the same information. So I've just regurgitated that.
This,
No, so it'd be for different conditions.
yeah, so this would believe that we're missing 2.
Yeah,
We're missing a listed building consent for the first one,
Yes, it's the first.
the second one, sorry, and we're listing the actual application for the first one.
This is the information about the, so I've had one about condition 3. Listing building consent has already been done, hasn't it?
yeah, so then this is right, there's variation, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have variation and listed building, it's variation. So what we're missing now is the condition 6, we've done condition 3. We're missing condition 6.
Yes. As I explained, I wrote to the officer and asked them to define clearly which aspects went with 6 and which aspects went with 3. They haven't done so, so I just regurgitated the same information as they have on the planning application. So the document's the same on the planning application. I've regurgitated that information. I did ask for defined 6 and 3, or whatever the numbers are, but I've not had that information through. So half of this will relate to one of them, and half of it will relate to the other. Where's it looking at? So including
Okay. So I think because it's not clear, should we just delegate it to the conservation officer anyway?
I think that's the best.
Because I don't think we know which one
It's a very
is which.
difficult.
I'm saying, I don't know either.
Right. Well, I think we need to look on the website. I expect it's probably clearer on the website, but. Okay, I think, so the proposal is to delegate this one, which is 776 variation to the conservation officer. So would anyone like to second that? And we're recommending that for approval. I think all as councillors going forward, we've got variations. It's down to you, not the deputy clerk, to set varying differences are. I don't mean that as to you, because it is, you can actually go through the documents. I know it takes a bit of time. But I think just we need to be taking responsibility ourselves to make sure it's clear.
Yes, so it's something because we knew in the application I had to. I'm not declaring an interest, but I have to declare I live nearby. Whether this application goes through or not doesn't impact me in any way. I have no interest in it, so I have come with an open mind.
Okay. So we're just closing off about the variations. So that any variation will stop because we've had quite a lot of very large applications like the Farming Bill, and we're starting to see variations coming in. Really, that is down to the council presenting to make sure, and I know it's I was going to swear, but I won't. I know it's a pain, but it is our responsibility to do that research. So just the stress here. Okay, next one.
Well, this is cricket. It sounds cricket that's played on June field at which is in the parish council, but which is least to cricket club. Yes, the
Sorry.
area proposed to me to go back here on. Okay, a little bit small.
Yes, I'll get small.
Access to sport. Good, things out. Different information. What has now been put before us with considerably information as to there's compatibility with flood zone 3. Water compatible scheme in flood zone 3, as is the case in this instance, will not require the production of an exception test. This flood risk assessment was put together by planning company water grades on behalf of Maidenhead Grades plant. That also Department for Environment, Food, Rural Affairs document available by this, and it's called Biodiversity Game Plan, showing how development will achieve 10% biodiversity net gain. The applications is put in the application is mentioned in files, first filed it on behalf of Maidenhead Grades. The application, it says, is to install an artificial wicket to the surface of an existing sports pitch. Jubilee Field, Bray. This is a very small area, and as a sports field has low biodiversity habitat value. We will compensate for the loss of this small area of grassland by remediating on site, by enhancing the nearby existing boundary area by planting 3 saplings in an area nearby boundary that is currently bare of trees or recent tree fall. They will match existing species present. So they're trying to do that with and they have answered the questions on this then plan from the Department of Environment and Rural Affairs. There was the question, are any irreplaceable habitats used for nurture? So they've done their homework. The land belongs to the parish council. This would be the latest, which is underlined the area involved. I feel that the club has taken considerable care and should they ever lose the right to pay their or the agreement be changed. This could be eliminated. I think that too much. So, I'd like to go in comments really.
Questions, anybody? Joanna? Okay. So, according to the documents and the conversations I had in the past, this is really about increasing the experience of younger players. It's a female league. This will not increase the number of matches, but it means that after rainfall they can still use the wicket. And I'm not a cricket player, but there is a point that especially younger people, they need
the artificial one seems to be easier. Like again, I'm not a specialist in what doesn't exactly change, but that's what they're saying. And the sports England has the research document online, that explains why they would welcome that change.
Two things here. You have to separate planning from the ownership. You can plan, you can put in a planning application on anybody's land. And whether they let you do it or not afterwards is up to an agreement. As far as planning is concerned, if we're happy with this, there's no way I would suggest not to approve it. But then, as the owners of the land, we have to make sure that we've not jeopardised the rest of the parish council as the owner of the land. So that's two different discussions.
So we're looking at this,
We're looking at this from planning, that's the point.
and the thing is, unless you've got a very good reason how to refuse it, like I could put planning application to build a house in your garden, but if there's no reason to refuse it, it could get approved, but you obviously won't like it.
Yeah.
But that's the way.
Exactly the point made.
Yeah.
Have they approached us?
So, yeah, they have, but that is a totally separate discussion. This is a planning aid application, what you see in front of us. Do we think it's acceptable? And do we have a valid reason why we could refuse it? That's the key thing. It's, you know, we can't just say we don't want it. There has to be a reason why it's reviewed. So yes, Steve.
And I'm going to ask this, given that it's our land, that means that we've got effectively vested interest. Should we actually even be giving a recommendation on this, or should we leave it to the borough because it's parish land, so therefore we're involved in effect with the application or the application effect?
No.
If that, I mean, I only ask from the technical point of view. That's.
You could say that in a way, but then it would then come to the parish council separately for approval to use the land.
Yeah, that's the.
So it's a separate discussion. So Joanna, yes.
So just for councillors who are not part of land management, this came to land management and the applicant was advised to put planning application first. It will come back to land management. If the application is approved, then we'll talk about our ownership and whether we can. But this is planned.
So then Derek, and then you can, sorry.
I was just going to say that really we should put conditions on this in this effect that because the land is ours, that we should have something to do with upon the satisfactory completion of a legal agreement or something of that wording between Bray Parish Council and whoever, Bray Sports Club. Because I think we should have some sort of formal legal agreement, but also a condition that if ever at any point in time that they decide to not use this pitch, that it's restored back to its original condition.
So that
something.
Sorry, that surely comes under the agreement that it's with the owner of land.
Yes,
Yes.
So it's a.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm very standing up here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And sit down there.
I think I would like to be assured that councillors, all councillors, understand the difference. Because you can well get approached by a member of the cricket club saying, could you approve the planning? We are talking about approving a planning application and like I say, you can
Not
do it.
do it.
You can do it, you can put planning permission for anybody's land. And so there is a completely different process to then implementing the work, if indeed the two parties agree.
Yes.
So playing slightly devil advocate. So we don't know when people put planning applications, if they're putting planning applications in for somebody else's land, and we don't make a caveat there.
We don't care.
I think what we should do as a separate action from the meeting to follow up with the cricket club to make sure it's clear, it comes to the next management meeting and discuss it regardless of the ownership, regardless of the outcome of the planning application. Because just from planning, they don't, they're not gonna, the OWM aren't gonna say, oh, well, Bray Parish Council owns it, so we'll review it.
No, no.
So, and it's a little bit of a worthless, but I think we can put on an action on our minutes here, further to us, and discussion as an action for next meeting to make sure it goes to land management, perhaps as chair of land management to contact the cricket club and make sure that they come to the next meeting subject to whether it's approved or not. I think it should be done that way personally, but. It's Margaret.
Chairman, I think this should have been introduced to the parish council first as a landowner, because
They would call them
a
on.
very obvious process.
Yeah,
And I think that was not to facilitate granting, but the stipulation as to conditions. So before any approval.
the poor, to be fair to them, guy came to the meeting. And he was told at that point in time, he needs to put a planning application up in, so that's what they've done. So I think, I mean, we can go round in circles on it. At this point in time, we've got a planning application here for this, we need to make a decision on it. And then if we agree an action to follow up with them separately, we can put that in our minutes as that. So Joanne.
So I watched this going back and forth between committees and various emails. It seems like a catch-22 a bit, because we keep saying no need to go through land management, no need to do the planning. At land management meeting, we have decided that what we need to see first is planning, because we don't know what are we even discussing and whether they will be allowed to do it or not, planning wise.
Yeah.
And this is, as with every planning, the fact that they will be granted or not, but let's say they will be granted permission, doesn't mean we'll have to do that units. That will come back to land management and we can then discuss, we can add to the current agreement with us any of the conditions we like, but that's a separate thing from planning. We sort of need to look at this, whether this is acceptable under planning law, not.
So Ken, have you got anything new to add, or is it just saying?
Yeah, I think that, they, when they get, if and when they get planning permission, they should come to us with the landlord. That's the correct way of doing it.
Yes, yes.
So my suggestion is, I hope you don't mind here. So my suggestion is we make a recommendation and then separately, we put an action for the chair of land management to contact them and say, we've seen the application. Please give me right to the next meeting to discuss it further to whatever the outcome is. And then we can discuss it further, the conditions we would like to add. Does that sound acceptable?
I think it's your way.
Well, we've already told them they had to do a planning application. We can't keep telling these people one thing. and then
When they've got a planning application, they then want to do it, so they've got to go to the landowner. That's that's how it works.
So the,
So,
So you don't instigate that, you wait for them to come to us when they're ready.
okay, so Margaret, would you like to make a recommendation on what do you want? Yes,
if I may. obviously I'm always in conversation with Tim regarding the current agreement, because there was talk of changing the name, which took us various different steps. The waste that's on there, who's responsible for it, la la la. So that's an existing conversation. So might I suggest that I simply email Tim and advise him that it would be appropriate for them to approach the land management committee once they get planning permission, just to tick that box and tidy that aspect of that.
That's okay.
No, so my suggestion was the other way around, was we've seen,
The other way around.
yes, yes, so my suggestion was, we've seen this front, we've got concerns, we approach them and ask them, invite them to the next land management meeting. I don't mind, but somebody make a decision how, if you think, Margaret, you're the councillor presenting,
Yes, I do.
which way round do you think it should be?
I think it should be discussed. I am against granting. Against taking it any further without more discussion. So I suggest that this does not have a decision.
So we can't do that. We can't do that. So if you're saying then you're recommending for refusal, you have to give a reason why you're recommending for refusal. So that's John. No, I think we need to discuss. No, please, can we just please and move on to what the decision is?
No, I think,
No,
sorry, Chair, but technically I need to say.
No.
We've already passed this, we already agreed it at the previous meeting. So I think, and it was sent back to the Royal Borough. The Royal Borough sent them back to reapply because they missed out on the environmental stuff and the flooding, and they've addressed that. I'll just leave it there.
So I'm going to make a recommendation as in chair. I will recommend this for approval. And I will also recommend that in the meanwhile, we do an action on Joanna as chair of land management to contact the team and say, invite them to the next land management meeting, subject to whatever the decision is from RBWM to discuss the details. That's my proposal to move this on. So Joanna.
I can second that. I think we can be user friendly.
No. So we are aware of this, that they want to do this on our land.
Yes.
Yes, they
We've
approached
spent lots of time.
and they told
And
them
did we review the lease?
At the land management meeting a long time ago, we said we will not discuss it unless we come back with a full planning. And this is the planning we're looking at.
I understand what people are saying because it is our property.
And last meeting, the agreement we had with them, last land management, the agreement we've had with them was not shared with councillors, so we have to defer to the next meeting until we see the full agreement. That was about something else, but we have not seen the agreement yet.
So this is not the applicant, this is
Us,
us bouncing it around. At this moment in time tonight, we have to make a decision on this planning application. If anyone wants to refuse it, you've got to give a good reason why not to approve it.
Just one thing.
You can't just abstain. You can't just, well, if you want to recommend that, Margaret, go for it.
Just one thing for clarity. John, you just said something about we've already approved this, or we
approved it at the previous meeting.
then that's the answer.
So could somebody check on the planning website? So this is already. Because this doesn't,
We need to pull up the lease.
the date.
The lease needs tidying up, but not, the lease needs renegotiating, but not at a planning, it's not at planning, because it's a separate. Yeah.
No more discussions on this. We're going round in circle. So tonight, we need to make a decision on this planning application that is in front of us now. So would somebody like to make a recommendation, please? I made a proposal Joanna seconded it. If you want, we can vote on it, or if somebody else wants to do something else. But we need to move forward. We have to agree to disagree or whatever. We have to vote on this, whether this application we want it or not. And if all we're worried about is making sure the applicant comes to us and asks, then
Can we as the landowners stop this?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
even if it's got.
Can I
Yeah,
say something?
absolutely.
There was planning application for that site. The history is very short. This application and the previous one, we have not. I don't know how. We have not said a thing yet about this site. So I don't know when did we approve it, but I'm looking at the website.
We haven't seen it.
We have not seen it yet.
No.
Well,
There was a planning application, it was refused. I have to open the refusal, it was never put forward before this committee yet, so I don't know.
So,
okay, so it's not been approved, right?
no, so.
That's one thing, that's one thing we've.
Oh, okay, I know, sorry. Because there was no risk assessment and because there was no appropriate biodiversity not getting presented. So that both of those things are.
Just approve it.
Yes. So, okay. So Margaret, are you happy to put a proposal forward? No. Okay, so again, I will reiterate my proposal is recommended for approval. And I would like to separately ask for an action for Chair of Land Management to contact them, invite them to next management commission meeting to discuss any conditions, etc. we would like regarding it. Yes.
Yeah, so let's make a suggestion, Chair. Yeah, often we have these sort of applications with the borough. And there has to be separation. So at the moment, we're sitting as a planning committee. So we've got to determine this application if it's a normal application coming
Yes.
from.
Yeah.
So the thing is, obviously, we shouldn't have the discussion like about the land and the lease and I'm fine with the approval, but the second part where we talked about the action point and locking them into the land conversation, I think we should exclude it, just so there's no conflict of interest. So we just determine in our mind, we know it will come back to land management and then they'll.
That's me. I was trying to find a happy medium between lots of different councillors' conversations. So the recommendation is by me is to approve it. Anyone like to second that? Thank you. Everyone recommended that for approval. Okay, Margaret and abstaining too. Okay, thank you. Next one is Bevel Oakley Green and White. Yeah. Ian, I'm ready to go.
I gave him question for it. Sorry. Thank you.
Right.
Is a reserve matters appearance, layout, landscaping and scale for the outline planning permission that was given in 21/317. This went to appeal. We actually refused it, obviously, because it was greenbelt land. And they got the approval on appeal a year later. This obviously is near Longley nursing homes. You just go past the nursing home. You then have the road where we have 3 farms. And the Willows is on the corner here. So see, there is the entrance. These are the other 2 farms, and there's another 2 at the top. This is the one to the right-hand side. This is Willows. The approval has come through for up to 6 dwellings. Of course, we're now going for 6. So they've approved it for up to 6. So you would never not see 5, would you? Of course, we're going to have 6. And this is obviously how they would like it to be. They're all 4-bedroom, 3 ensuite houses. And the entrance at the moment is here. And RBWM have agreed to allow them to have the entrance at the front, which I'm that was one of the big things that we actually rejected it was, because obviously having an entrance on that road, because it really is not the best.
Yeah.
And Conisby Lane's turning is right here. So there is a big flood issue there as well. As we know, the nursing home, that whole section floods on a regular basis. This in general, you know, it is what it is. We can't refuse it. We just have to comment on what they've put in. We've got obviously an issue with that there is a local footpath. Obviously, the Ramblers Association has said that they're happy as long as this is not blocked. I think it's one of the comments that we need to make sure that we don't. It is actually, it's the right of way FP 51A. So that is something that we need to ensure. The second thing, again, is regards to the flooding or the drainage. We have obviously, as you know, the ditch that runs either side of the village all the way through. They state that they obviously have their own drainage. What they did was, we have a fence that they erected along this line, which of course will come down. And they diverted the ditch just up from here is Manor Grove. And we've got the two sides that we have an issue with. Obviously on the right is running slightly, on the left is not. Although I don't have a problem with the design and the layout, the footpath and the drainage, I have an issue with.
So can I just stress here?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Reserved matters
Yeah.
is appearance, layout, landscape and scale. So,
And they want to disperse the quality discharge from the site should be sufficient water quality. Applicants provided evidence to discharge the water from the site would be significant water quality, show this to be discharged. So what they've proposed, we also note that envisage that the drainage system will remain privately and maintained by a private management company, funded by the residents and maintained and regime has been provided. It's our ditch. They won't just pump water into the ditch.
so I think, so take that as a thought. So what about the appearance, layout, landscape and scale? And are there any comments from anybody regarding that? So there's a picture of
They're all quite similar. They've just taken the field. Obviously, it's a willow, there is a willow tree in the middle, so they kept that one. So made obviously a roundabout with the houses around the outside. That part of it is not really a problem. You know, it's there. We would like 4, they will be approved 6. We're never going to get it in a perfect one. The footpath obviously is not commented on as far as their plans, but obviously it is the drainage that is the big issue.
okay. So anybody got any questions, Ken?
Do we think, if that's a picture of one of them?
Yep.
Do we think that they're overpowering that amount of land? Yes, they've got permission to put stick.
Yep.
6-1. If that's, you know, that's an example, it looks like it's pretty overcrowded to me. And it will be,
They have got it set. They've got a picture of each and every house. They're identical. They're on reasonable sized plots, to be perfectly honest. But of course, what they are doing is they're diverting the entrance to the front so they can utilise the 3 sides to the max.
Yeah.
And it kind of, I mean, obviously people don't get massive gardens, but it kind of fits if you look at it. None of them are bigger than the other. They're all 4, 3, so they've kept exactly the same build. It wouldn't surprise me that we don't see a couple of self-builds in here, and that's why they've kept the format the same, but who knows? Drainage and flooding is the issue.
Okay. So would you like to make a recommendation, Julie?
We can't refuse, but I would like them to re-look at their water and flooding plan that they have. I don't believe that to be privately maintained by a management company when it is the main ditch that runs through the village. I don't see how that can work.
And it will be exacerbated by the amount of hard standard.
It will, yeah. And the unfortunate thing is the farm next door is under offer.
Mhm.
And of course, that's got 16,000 square foot of building already on it. So, there is a huge run, and of course, it's not level land. It is going to run into the road.
Yes, Ken.
Regards to comment on appearance. I don't like the appearance. I'll say that.
It's what land.
Like to see horses and drinks, personally, but yeah, I don't like.
Well, if we want a local opinion, you know, someone might want to say something like that.
They made me laugh because they actually said that obviously this, they feel that this can't be under affordable housing. I'm kind of quiet.
Yeah, so it's not what I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see 4, but at the end of the day, it's the drainage it's the water that I have an issue with, because it is it is a hot spot, it is a known hot spot,
Yeah,
and it is going to cause more.
So Derek, just hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just on looking at the individual plots itself, plot 1 seems to be accessed from the lane.
Yeah.
Separately. Now, if you were to take plot 1 out of the equation, you can move plot 2 over a bit, which would give a bit more space around the top part. And then you could condition it to say, well, under riparian and ownership, you must ensure that you keep the pitch free of any debris and.
I think not 1, because that's the only one that can be accessed by the lane.
Yeah.
Because they're removing the entrance, but there is obviously like a back door to it. So I get the feeling that is going to be the people that are there at the moment. I think that's going to be their new house.
Yeah, but
With a separate.
I just think if you were looking at spacing it out a bit more, you would remove that one from the
Or
side.
would be lovely.
Well, it would be 5, but it would still be.
can we go back to the layout, to the plan view, please?
So can I remind you, all
See, this is
we
why.
have to finish at 9 o'clock. So just, it's 22 now, just as a.
Yeah.
You have to write in.
Yeah.
It's a draft on my back. That was all the only reason I was trying to close it.
So Julie, would you like to make a recommendation?
The recommendation obviously is for approval because they already have approval, but we would like to see fewer houses and a proper flood and drainage.
But usually the thing is, you recommend it for refusal due to concerns around flooding, because then they take that into account. I don't think you're gonna get much sway with the number of houses. I think we should focus on
We've approved them up to 6, so they're going to be 6.
yeah, they're not gonna do less.
My main concern is the flooding, the water and where this is going. To have a private company to take their water away is not going to.
I think there needs to be proper management provided of water dispersal on the site. I think I personally, it's your board and your, I'd be focusing on the flooding part of it.
Yeah.
Personally, because that is the most impact to the rest of the area. It's not just affecting them because.
No, I think we've got Longley, which is one hotspot, you've then got Conisby Lane, which is the second.
Yeah.
Regardless to what they've done so far, it's improved, this will make it worse again.
Well, there's still issues with getting the ditches cleared, isn't there, by parent area, because set the rights with all the ditches cleared along that way. That's still ongoing. So,
And we've got an issue with mangrove still with the water course
yeah,
flowing.
I'm surprised about that because flooding is the issue. I'm surprised about that because when we were, in the days when it rained quite heavily this spring, that right-hand side ditch ran okay.
Yeah,
Because I was specifically looking at that every time I come up.
exactly.
That was running okay. It was full up, but it wasn't over its banks. The one on the left-hand side was frequently. But let me not say that these, the style of the house, which we're being asked to look at in appearance, would seem to be bulky. Is it not out of context with the surrounding property? You'd like to see houses with two roof lines, a 1.5 story and a 2 story, that sort of thing, to break it up a bit, because there are big blocks.
it's up to you to present it, but I'm conscious of time. I've got 15 minutes to get through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Applications, so I think we need to, whatever it is, we need to decide, and please.
I'm recommending a refusal. Obviously, maybe we'll say overcrowding of the site and an issue with obviously flooding and more information about a management running a plan, because obviously it's our water course in the village.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll second that.
thank you, Derek. Everyone recommending it for users for that reason. Okay, thank you.
Application 25-101-333, Gales Bungalow, Carvey Lane. This is for a replacement delay. I am not going to spend a huge amount on it. There are no objections. It is an increase of, you can see here, we've got, obviously, Gales Bungalow. This is the slot here, coming on Tarway Lane. It's at the beginning, it's on the left-hand side, you go up, and see that you've got the actual cottages on the right. This is how it looks at the moment. This is what they want. It's an increase of 21% footprint, but they're actually lowering the roof height. So although it's actually going to be lower, but a bit longer. And what they're doing is taking away, obviously, the bittiness of it and making it personally probably more pleasing. This is where they want the roof height to be. As you can see, it's obviously, this is how it is at the moment. I can't see it, probably at all.
Okay, any questions, anybody? Yes, Steve?
Well, I can see one with the question of adding 2 bedrooms, and I seem to be reducing the parking.
Yeah, there's plenty.
Anyone else got any queries, questions? Would you like to make a recommendation, do we?
Recommendation for approval.
Anyone like to second that? Everyone recommending that for approval? Against, abstaining? Okay, thank you.
Application 2501 684. You recognise the address? It's our fellow councillor Blue's home. Which is the reason why Nick hasn't come tonight. We've got two applications here we need to vote on both. One is obviously listed building consent, and the other one is the actual approval. They're actually replacing the yeah. Okay, so there's a very old conservatory on the back of the property. They're replacing it. Slightly bigger, 13% increase on what is already there. It's all timber and glass, nothing else. Nick's obviously gone through this very well. He's put a lot of thought into it. And I can't see a problem. No one's got complaints. The plot is huge. You're not even going to see it from the road. So
there's two applications here, listed buildings, so I suggest we do that, what we usually do, delegate to conservation officer. So we have to vote on it separately in that way, so proposal is
to approve.
To delegate to the conservation officer. Thank you, Derek, and is everyone happy to delegate the listed building consent to the conservation officer? Yeah, and then the actual main part of it is full. What's your recommendation, Julie?
To approve.
And the recommendation is to approve. Anyone like to, yeah, second, you're all, and everyone's recommending that for approval. Okay, right, thank you. So we've got two more applications left.
Next one. Right. John Train Nurseries, Oakley Green Road.
Gonna have to be quick.
At my station 25/01702. Okay, John Train, everyone knows John Train Nurseries, Oakley Green Road, just up from the Red Lion, as you're going towards Firefields on the right hand side. He's put an application in, he's already got, if we can access, right, so he has already got a shanty town of little buildings covered in polythene on the nursery. He now obviously wants to put one building. He wants to change the in and out exit. The exit or not, the in and out?
No, it's not included.
Okay.
It was also include buildings along with
So
an access roads to
yeah,
site.
this is how he wants, at the moment, he's got a goods entrance, which is from obviously the farm next door. The entrance here he wants so it will actually flow round. I just obviously that is part of it, so I want obviously people to be aware of that. If you want to circulate on there, obviously he's got his building. And obviously he wants to put the parking in. And then it will flow around. So as you go in, it's like a mini roundabout with it. Polytunnels are full. He wants to be the same. He basically wants to jig the sides around. What he said was obviously he's trying to do this because now we don't have a local garden centre because they've both been built on. He wants to turn this in. This obviously looks quite elaborate, but it is single story with toilets, staffing area, etc. No complaints. No residents have put anything up.
I've just got a couple of queries. There doesn't seem to be any detail regarding height.
No, that is the other problem, is that they've submitted these plans, but I can't tell you how big this building is.
No.
So, looks great, but I don't know the size. there is a scale at the bottom, but it's very, very hard to actually distinguish.
Those down a switch of height.
20, 22, 23, 25 inches, I think.
Possibly, but we're just guessing.
I'm just jumped
Yeah.
off the, off the doors and the windows.
Is an ad hoc building, something that just sprung up.
Yeah, the others haven't got planning professional.
He's got, obviously, he's got his polytunnels there. He's got the land at the back. You've seen the
Bits and
polytunnels
pieces.
come in, yeah. And obviously now he's put on this. I went down to see him at the weekend and he wasn't there. So I only spoke to one of the workers there. That obviously wasn't very helpful, unfortunately. He's supposed to give me a call, but he hasn't. We do have a lack of information on this, so I'm kind of wanting to send it back and refuse it, saying that we would like better details and also more interesting in that access in the entrance where he's put this elaborate road. We'd like to obviously have a bit more information of how this is going to go, because the good zip comes from the farm, the drive, which is just to the left of it.
I was for that, yes.
Very quickly, it's a greenfield.
Yes,
So there is a building polytunnel.
Yeah.
It's an express, the polytunnel building.
yes.
And
So Julie, would you like to make a recommendation?
I would like to recommend a refusal due to lack information of size and scope of the building and also the type of entrance and car movements that they're going to put there. For the amount of car parking spaces that he's put on his little plan, you know, this elaborate entrance wouldn't
It's like,
warrant it.
Yeah.
And also, if you look, he's got his accommodation to the side where it could be quite clearly separated.
Yeah, I think we, just because he happens to be local, I think we need to be very consistent.
Yeah, I think why is that to say now you've only got, you know, no garden centre, you want to put this up. So
I'll get second that, and recommended refuse for those reasons. I think that's everybody.
thank you. Last application, Brayfield Farm, Windsor Road, Walker, President.
So this is permitted development. I don't know, actually, do we really actually need to discuss it? Because permitted development is either a yes or no tick list. And it literally is, sent out information to all councillors. It literally is either it meets it or it doesn't. And it is just temporary use of land under Class C. And it will be yes or no.
I obviously got, when I saw this, I got quite excited, and then I realised, you know, we've actually got the two caravans there that keep going for the planning permission for 3 years. And I was like, oh, they're gone. No. There's the entrance.
Yeah.
There's the caravans. So they've actually got this. So this bit here is actually not part of the application. The application is this bit that's round here.
So as it's permitted development, personally, I hope you don't mind me making some effort, we delegate it to the planning officer who will know the different criteria for Class C regarding it. Yes, Ken?
just a quick question. Did they define temporary?
Yeah.
How long?
Temporarily, up to 3 years, wouldn't it?
And, yeah, all right. When it's finished with, will it get put back to where it started?
Yeah.
It's only, they're only using it as land, they're not building on it, it's only just changed.
This is obviously
Yeah.
asking the story, but again, you've got these big buildings just gone up here,
Yeah,
so this will be the overflow for this.
but
There
they're
will
also
be been empty.
any other applications as they come in, but this applies to Class C permitted development, we should just change the use temporary.
Don't forget, this had contaminated soil put on it, so this probably would do a favour.
Would you like to make a suggestion?
Oh, just, yeah, as I say, I recommend for approval.
Well, we can't, so committee that we don't recommend for approval, say,
We're happy,
No
I'm delegated to the planning officer.
yeah.
Yes. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yeah, yes, everyone agreement? Steve, you agreement, yes, Joanna? Yes, yes, okay, so that's everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, done. So, well done, everybody, so. The bit parts of the meeting, we should just about make it, we were just putting that across now. Transition education business appeals. We discussed, of course, at the beginning of the meeting, licensing application. But I'm actually checking each week to see if there's any licensing applications to take back. We've got nothing at the moment. The date of next meeting is the 1st of September. Well done, everybody, to make it through.
So my apologies for the next meeting.
Yeah.
5 minutes just. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Nick, do the next one.
Sorry?
Yes, doing the next one. Definitely.
So Joanna, you have. Please, John. Yeah.
Definitely.